Mortal Kombat has been hiding one of gaming's most broken power systems in plain sight for 30 years. Every god that loses to a mortal, every unstoppable champion who dies immediately, every character described as invincible, getting beaten by someone half their strength, suggests something fundamentally wrong with the franchise's lore. That's why today, I'm breaking down every character death that makes zero sense and exposing the contradictions NetherRealm refuses to address. Starting with the massacre that killed 7 fighters in under 2 minutes. Sindel's Massacre. Sindel killed 7 of Earthrealm's strongest warriors in a single cutscene, and after 13 years of community debate, nobody can explain how this scene makes any sense with the established power scaling. Mortal Kombat 9. Chapter 15 opens with Sindel, newly resurrected and empowered by Shang Tsung's absorbed souls, walking into the Sky Temple. She faces Stryker, Jax, Cyber Sub-Zero, Cabal, Smoke, Jade, and Kitana, all 7 defenders. Within 90 seconds of screen time, she systematically executes every single one. Stryker gets punched in the nose so hard the bone fragments pierce his brain. Jax gets stabbed through the neck with her high heel. Cyber Sub-Zero, a literal cyborg assassin, enhanced with Lin Kuei technology, dies to 3 punches. Cabal gets stomped to death. Smoke's neck snaps like a twig. Jade gets disemboweled, her liver ripped out on screen. Kitana, her own daughter, gets beaten unconscious and dies from her injuries in the next chapter. But here's the problem. These exact same warriors had just defeated Shao Kahn's entire invasion force. The previous 4 chapters show Earthrealm's defenders winning against everyone. Cyber Sub-Zero literally fought Goro and Kintaro simultaneously in a 2-on-1 handicap match and won. Goro, the 4-armed Shokan prince who went undefeated for 500 years. Kintaro, who replaced Goro specifically because he was stronger. Cyber Sub-Zero beat both of them at the same time. Then Sindel punches him 3 times and he's dead. Not damaged, not disabled. Dead. Jax defeated Ermac, a fusion of thousands of souls with telekinetic powers that previously ripped his arms clean off. Cabal beat an entire squadron of Tarkatan warriors solo. Stryker, a regular cop with 0 special powers, survived direct combat with Kintaro, Ermac, and Reptile. Every single fighter in that room had proven they could handle threats far beyond normal humans. The lore explanation makes it worse. Sindel gained her power boost from Shao Kahn absorbing Shang Tsung's soul, then transferring that energy to her. Okay, fine, but Shang Tsung himself lost to Kung Lao in single combat, literally minutes before Shao Kahn absorbed him. The power that made Sindel unstoppable came from a sorcerer who couldn't beat one Shaolin monk. That same sorcerer's power somehow made Sindel stronger than 7 warriors who beat gods. Here's what actually happened behind the scenes. A former NetherRealm Studios writer admitted in an interview that the team regretted how this sequence played out. They needed villains to seem threatening after being total jobbers throughout the story mode. Shao Kahn's forces lost every major fight. Sindel's massacre existed purely to raise stakes before the final act. The in-universe logic didn't matter. The scene prioritized shock value over consistency. The community has debated this for 13 years. Fan theories range from Shang Tsung's thousands of absorbed souls made the difference to the warriors were exhausted from previous fights. None of these explanations address why Cyber Sub-Zero, who showed 0 fatigue while beating 2 Shokan champions back-to-back, suddenly couldn't survive 3 punches from a middle-aged Adenian queen. Not injured, not knocked out, dead from 3 hits. Nightwolf sacrifices himself through a mutual disintegration attack to finally kill Sindel, bringing the total death count to 8 fighters plus Sindel herself in one sequence. TV Tropes calls it one of the most divisive moments in Mortal Kombat history. Not because of the brutality, because it made absolutely no sense with everything that came before it. But if 7 heroes dying to 1 empowered queen seems impossible, wait until you learn about the Emperor who killed billions with a single gesture and somehow still loses to mortals constantly. Shao Kahn's billions. Shao Kahn killed more people in one moment than every other Mortal Kombat character combined, and somehow he still loses to fighters with 0 divine powers and no magical enhancements. Mortal Kombat 3 opens with the most devastating act in the franchise's history. Shao Kahn bypasses the tournament rules, invades Earthrealm directly, and performs a soul extraction ritual. The game's intro text states he instantly stripped billions of their souls, not millions, billions. With a single gesture, Shao Kahn committed genocide on a planetary scale. The entire human population of Earth in 1995 was approximately 5.7 billion people. The lore suggests he took most of them. Every person who didn't make it to Raiden's protected zones died in seconds. Their souls are absorbed into Outworld to fuel the realm merger. That's just his Earthrealm invasion. Shao Kahn conquered at least 6 named realms before MK3. Edenia merged with Outworld approximately 10,000 years before the first tournament. He personally killed King Jared on the battlefield, while Tarkatan hordes slaughtered every Edenian they encountered. Edenia had a thriving civilization with millions of inhabitants who possessed lifespans exceeding 10,000 years. All of them ceased to exist as separate beings so when the realms merged. Zaterra, the Saurian homeworld, Viternus, the vampire realm, Oshtek, Kotal Khan's people, the Arnyek Islands, countless lesser realms the lore mentions but never names. Each conquest involved civilizational extinction, but then Liu Kang beats him 3 separate times. Mortal Kombat 2 ends with Liu Kang defeating Shao Kahn in Outworld. A Shaolin monk with fire powers beats an emperor who absorbed billions of souls. Okay, fine. Earthrealm's champion in the sacred tournament makes sense, except then Liu Kang beats him again in Mortal Kombat 3 after Shao Kahn has absorbed those billions of Earthrealm souls. The power boost that came from planetary genocide didn't matter. Liu Kang wins anyway. Then, in Mortal Kombat 9, the timeline reboot that recreates the original trilogy, Liu Kang beats Shao Kahn a 3rd time. Same outcome. The emperor who conquered realms for millennia loses to the same guy every single time. The contradiction gets worse in Mortal Kombat 11. Kitana, Shao Kahn's adopted daughter, defeats him in single combat. No power buff, no divine intervention, no elder god blessing, just Kitana. With her steel fans fighting her father who commands armies and destroys civilizations, she wins. The game shows her taking the throne of Outworld by right of combat after beating Shao Kahn one-on-one. 25,000 years of conquest experience. Billions of absorbed souls across multiple realms, defeated by his daughter who has exactly 0 magical enhancements beyond her Edenian longevity. Players have documented every Shao Kahn loss across 30 years. He lost to Liu Kang in MK2, MK3, and MK9. He loses to Kung Lao in the MK9 story mode before Shao Kahn kills him from behind. He loses to Raiden multiple times. He lost to Kitana in MK11. He even loses to Kotal Khan, an Oshtek warrior whose entire realm was conquered by a Shao Kahn thousands of years ago. The official MK11 character towers show Shao Kahn losing to literally everyone on the roster in their arcade mode endings. Here's the thing that makes no sense. The billions of souls should matter. Shang Tsung absorbing souls makes him younger and stronger. The game explicitly shows soul absorption increasing power. Ermac contains thousands of souls and possesses telekinetic abilities strong enough to rip off Jax's arms. Shao Kahn absorbed billions. The power scaling suggests he should be unkillable. Instead, he's the franchise's most defeated final boss. But if an emperor with billions of souls losing constantly seems broken, wait until you learn about the sorcerer who orchestrated the deadliest massacre in Earthrealm's history without throwing a single punch. The Shirai Ryu massacre. Quan Chi killed an entire ninja clan without anyone knowing he did it, and 30 years later, the manipulation still defines the franchise's most iconic rivalry. Before the first Mortal Kombat tournament, Quan Chi hired 2 assassins to retrieve the map of elements from a Shaolin temple. Bihan, the original Sub-Zero from the Lin Kuei, Hanzo Hasashi, Scorpion from the Shirai Ryu, both clans accepted the contract. Both warriors succeeded. Then Quan Chi personally slaughtered every member of the Shirai Ryu as payment to the Lin Kuei for their services. Hanzo's wife Harumi, his son Satoshi, every warrior, every elder, every family member in the compound. The entire clan was wiped out in a single night. The lore describes it as a complete massacre, women and children included. The Shirai Ryu weren't just killed, they were exterminated. Quan Chi left no survivors except Hanzo, who was away on the mission. When Hanzo returned and found his family dead, he assumed that Lin Kuei betrayed them. The rival clan finally made their move. 50 years of tension between the Shirai Ryu and Lin Kuei erupted into a blood feud. Hanzo hunted Bihan to the Nether Realm and burned him alive during the first tournament. But here's what makes this the franchise's cruelest manipulation. Quan Chi disguised himself as Sub-Zero during the massacre. Mortal Kombat Mythologies shows Quan Chi wearing Lin Kuei colors when he attacks the Shirai Ryu compound. Witnesses saw Sub-Zero's ice powers. They saw the Lin Kuei uniform. They died believing their rival clan committed the atrocity. Quan Chi engineered the entire blood feud between Scorpion and Sub-Zero, knowing both warriors were innocent. Bihan never betrayed anyone. Hanzo murdered an innocent man for a crime he didn't commit. The franchise's most iconic rivalry, the reason Scorpion became a specter. The motivation for 3 decades of get over here moments, all built on a lie Quan Chi orchestrated before the first tournament even started. The death toll extends beyond the Shirai Ryu. Quan Chi created 13 revenants across the timeline. Scorpion, Noob Saibot, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Kitana, Jade, Sindel, Nightwolf, Jax, Kuai Liang, Smoke, Cabal, and Striker. Every single one required binding the deceased soul to a magically forged body in the Nether Realm. The process turns heroes into slaves. Liu Kang and Kung Lao served Quan Chi for years as undead warriors. Only Jax, Sub-Zero, and Scorpion were ever restored to life. The rest remained trapped as revenants until Quan Chi's death made restoration impossible. Here's the thing nobody talks about. Quan Chi's decapitation by Scorpion in Mortal Kombat X. Chapter 9 permanently doomed 10 revenants to undeath. When Scorpion finally got revenge for his family, he condemned 10 other families to never get their loved ones back. The moment the community cheered for was the moment restoration became impossible. That single manipulation has a body count stretching across 30 years and 3 timelines. The Shirai Ryu clan, Bihan, murdered by Hanzo for a crime he didn't commit. Every hero who died and became a revenant under Quan Chi's control. The families who never got their warriors back because Scorpion killed the only sorcerer who could restore them. But if one sorcerer orchestrating decades of death through manipulation seems calculating, wait until you learn about the insect warrior who kills fan favorite characters for shock value. Devora's executions. Devora has killed more fan-favorite characters than any non-boss in the franchise, and NetherRealm keeps using her for shock-value deaths that make the community furious. Mortal Kombat X introduced Devora in 2015 as a chitin insectoid serving Kotal Khan. Within her debut game, she kills 2 beloved legacy characters. Baraka dies first. She rips out his heart and brain with stingers during Kotal Khan's coup against Melina in Chapter 2. Then Melina herself gets the kiss of death in Chapter 5. Devora's parasitic insects devour Melina's face from the inside out while she screams. 2 characters who debuted in Mortal Kombat 2 back in 1993, both killed by someone who didn't exist until 22 years later. But then Mortal Kombat 11 does it again. Hanzo Hasashi dies to Devora's poisonous sneak attack. The scene happens while Hanzo convinces his past revenant self to abandon revenge and join the heroes. He's in the middle of his redemption arc. He's finally made peace with his family's death. He's teaching the next generation at the Shirai Ryu Temple. Then Devora stabs him from behind with venom that specifically counters his hellfire healing. Scorpion, the franchise's most iconic character since 1992, dies to a supporting antagonist introduced 3 years earlier. The pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Devora debuted in 2015. Baraka died in 2015. Melina died in 2015. Scorpion dies in 2019. Every major Devora appearance includes her killing a character who existed for decades before she did. The developers specifically choose her for high-profile deaths that generate controversy. Not Shang Tsung, the soul-stealing sorcerer, who's been killing people since 1992. Not Quan Chi, the necromancer responsible for the Shirai Ryu massacre. Devora, the newest character, gets handed the deaths that drive engagement through outrage. Community reaction to Melina's death was so intense that NetherRealm brought her back as DLC in Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. Players spent 5 years demanding her return. The hashtag Melina4MK11 trended multiple times. When she finally returned, her intros with Devora referenced the murder directly. Melina threatens revenge in nearly every dialogue variation. The developers knew exactly how hated that death was, and still kept Devora as the killer in canon. Here's what makes Devora different from other killers. Shao Kahn kills for conquest. Quan Chi kills for manipulation. Devora kills for community reaction. Her 4 confirmed major character kills, Baraka, Melina, Scorpion, and her failed attempt on Hanzo in alternate timelines, all target characters with massive fan bases. NetherRealm uses her as their designated villain for deaths that generate social media controversy. But if a supporting character killing legends seems disrespectful, wait until you learn about the franchise's most iconic killer, who has exactly 2 canonical deaths across 30 years. Scorpion's 2 deads. Scorpion is Mortal Kombat's most iconic character, and everyone thinks he's the deadliest fighter in the franchise. And after 30 years, his actual canonical body count is exactly 2 people. The franchise has spent 3 decades building Scorpion's reputation as an unstoppable killer. The flaming skull reveal, the spear through the chest, followed by Get Over Here, the toasty fatality where he removes his mask and incinerates opponents with hellfire breath. Every trailer, every poster, every piece of promotional material since 1992 puts Scorpion front and center as the face of brutal combat. Players assume someone that iconic must have the highest kill count in the series. His confirmed story mode kills are Bihan, Quan Chi. That's it. Bihan, the original Sub-Zero, dies in the first Mortal Kombat tournament. Scorpion drags him to the NetherRealm and burns him alive for the Shirai Ryu massacre. Then 400 years of game releases later, Scorpion decapitates Quan Chi in Mortal Kombat X, Chapter 9, when he learns the truth about who really killed his family. 2 deaths across 9 main games, 3 timelines, and 30 years of franchise history. But here's what destroys the reputation. Scorpion is the victim in both scenarios. The Shirai Ryu massacre made him a killer. Quan Chi murdered his wife Harumi, his son Satoshi, and his entire clan while Hanzo was away on a mission. Hanzo returned to find everyone dead. He spent centuries in the NetherRealm as a vengeance demon, hunting the man he thought was responsible. His most famous kill, burning Bihan alive, happened because he was manipulated into targeting an innocent person. The iconic rivalry that defines the franchise exists because Scorpion was a victim of Quan Chi's deception. Even his revenge kill doesn't break the pattern. Decapitating Quan Chi in MKX only happens after Scorpion spends an entire story mode being controlled, manipulated, and used as a weapon weapon by everyone around him. Quan Chi binds him as a revenant. Shanik uses him as an enforcer. The entire Netherrealm treats him as a slave. His second canonical kill is him finally breaking free from decades of abuse. Mortal Kombat 11 reinforces this. Hanzo Hasashi dies trying to prevent violence. He's convincing his past revenant self to abandon revenge when Devora murders him. The franchise's most brutal character dies while actively choosing peace over combat. Not in battle, not in a tournament, murdered during a redemption arc. The gap between reputation and reality is absurd. Scorpion has the most iconic fatalities, the most recognizable design, the most prominent role in every game's marketing. 2 canonical story mode kills. Meanwhile, Sindel killed 7 named fighters in 90 seconds, and nobody remembers her as the franchise's deadliest. But if Scorpion's reputation being built on exactly 2 kills seems like false advertising, wait until you learn about the god who can't beat enhanced humans, the green energy. Gods lose to mortals constantly in Mortal Kombat, and Netherrealm's explanation for why that happens is a Mediterranean war cult that bred god killers thousands of years ago. Johnny Cage defeats Shinnok in Mortal Kombat X. Not weakened Shinnok, not depowered Shinnok. Shinnok, the fallen elder god who waged war against the entire elder god pantheon. Johnny, a Hollywood action star with zero mystical training, beats him in single combat. The game shows Johnny manifesting green energy that specifically counters divine power. His fists glow. Shinnok staggers. An elder god loses to a man whose previous claim to fame was starring in Ninja Mime. The explanation comes through character bios and story mode dialogue. Johnny Cage descends from a Mediterranean war cult that bred warriors fit to protect and serve the gods. This bloodline grants powers that activate when loved ones are in danger. Green energy specifically counters divine threats. It's not magic, it's not training, it's genetics from an ancient breeding program that somehow produces fighters capable of matching elder gods in combat. But then Cassie Cage does it too. Mortal Kombat X's final boss is corrupted Shinnok, who absorbed the Jinsei Chamber's power. The game explicitly states he has even surpassed the power of gods with this enhancement. Multiple elder gods couldn't stop Shinnok. Raiden, the protector of Earthrealm for millions of years, failed. Then Cassie Cage, Johnny's daughter who learned about her powers 5 chapters earlier, defeats corrupted Shinnok in the finale. She manifests the same green energy. She punches a reality warping elder god in the face. She wins. The power had zero foreshadowing. Cassie shows no signs of inherited abilities for the entire game until chapter 11 when Johnny tells her about the bloodline. Then, immediately, facing the final boss, she unlocks god-killing energy that her father took decades to access. The convenience is staggering. Netherrealm needed Cassie to win. The Mediterranean bloodline retcon provided justification exactly when required. Here's what makes this explanation worse. The green energy only manifests against divine threats. Johnny never uses it against Baraka, Quan Chi, or any non-god opponent. Cassie never uses it in any fight before Shinnok. The power exists purely to explain why mortals can defeat gods without breaking immersion. It's a retcon designed to address 30 years of power scaling problems. But if convenient bloodline powers seem like lazy writing, wait until you learn about the undefeated champion, who lost immediately after 500 years. Section 7. Goro's losses, the undefeated champion. Goro went 500 years without losing a single fight, and the moment he becomes playable, he loses to everyone on the roster, including the guy who sells insurance. Mortal Kombat 1992 introduces Goro as the reigning Mortal Kombat champion. His character bio states, none who have opposed him have survived after winning 9 consecutive tournaments. The Great Kung Lao challenged Goro 500 years before the first game. Goro killed him. Then, for half a millennium, Goro remained undefeated as Outworld's champion. Every Earthrealm warrior who faced him died. Every tournament ended with Goro standing over corpses. The 4-armed Shokan Prince became the symbol of Outworld's dominance. But then Liu Kang beats him in the first tournament. Okay, fine. The protagonist defeats the champion. Classic tournament arc. Except Goro loses to Liu Kang again in Mortal Kombat 4 after being resurrected. Then in Mortal Kombat Deception, Noob Saibot nearly kills him. Goro survives but loses an arm and spends the entire game recovering. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, the action spin-off, shows Johnny Cage killing Goro, not in single combat. Johnny just beats him. The undefeated champion of 500 years dies to a Hollywood actor. The pattern continues in every timeline. MK9 shows Cyber Sub-Zero and Jax defeating Goro and Kintaro together. MKX brings Goro back as DLC. His arcade ending has him losing to Kotal Khan. MK11 doesn't include Goro at all, but references show he lost to Cetrion off-screen. Across 30 years and multiple timelines, Goro loses to Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, Noob Saibot, Cyber Sub-Zero, Jax, Kotal Khan, and Cetrion. Here's the thing that breaks the lore. 500 years undefeated means Goro beat every champion Earthrealm sent. The Great Kung Lao, dozens of Shaolin warriors, special forces operatives, enhanced fighters, gods manifesting in mortal form. All of them died to Goro, but the moment he fights anyone in the actual games, he loses constantly. The reputation doesn't match reality. His MK1 character bio specifically states none who opposed him survived. survived, except players can verify that at least 7 characters survived fighting Goro across the franchise. The undefeated record lasted exactly until he became a character players could actually fight. But if an unstoppable champion losing immediately seems contradictory, wait until you learn about the Timeline Destroyer, who erased infinite realities. Kronika's resets. Kronika erased more lives than every other character combined, multiplied by infinity, and the franchise treats timeline erasure like it's not mass murder on a cosmic scale. Mortal Kombat 11 introduces Kronika as the keeper of time and architect of reality. She exists outside normal existence as a titan, beings above elder gods and the power hierarchy. Her role involves repeatedly erasing and restarting the timeline to achieve her vision of perfect balance. Raiden confronts her with this knowledge, stating she has restarted the timeline many times in order to find perfection. Kronika herself confirms it during multiple encounters. She's destroyed and recreated reality so many times she's lost count. Every timeline contains trillions of beings across multiple realms. Earthrealm alone has billions of humans. The Outworld has conquered civilizations spanning thousands of years. Edenia, Order Realm, Chaos Realm, the Nether Realm, all populated with souls and lives. When Kronika resets time, every single one of those beings ceases to exist. Not killed, erased, they never were. But then the game shows her doing it casually. Kronika's dialogue treats timeline erasure like editing a document. She rewinds conversations she's had before. She references past attempts at the same scenario. She literally tells Raiden, "We have repeated this exact conversation so often. In so many timelines, I have lost count." The Keeper of Time herself doesn't know how many realities she's destroyed. If one timeline equals trillions of deaths, and she's reset countless times, her body count approaches mathematical infinity. The math is staggering. Shao Kahn killed billions in one moment. Kronika killed trillions per timeline across countless resets. Every character who ever existed in a timeline, she erased. Every relationship, every choice, every moment of existence, all gone because Kronika decided that iteration wasn't perfect enough. She's committed genocides on a scale that transcends mortal comprehension. Here's the thing nobody talks about. Fire God Liu Kang does exactly the same thing at the end of MK11. He resets the timeline and creates the MK1 2023 universe. Every person in the previous timeline stops existing. Liu Kang becomes the same kind of timeline destroyer he defeated, except the game frames it as heroic. That makes him just as deadly as Kronika. If you enjoyed this video and want to see Mortal Kombat's biggest power scaling contradictions explained, click the video on screen now.